Good evening. We'll call to order the October 28th meeting of the Board of Zoning Appeals. First on our agenda will be roll call.
Dan Dale,
Here.
Patty Lingle,
Here.
Amanda Lyons,
Here.
Mark Nyland, Joe Vogel. We have a quorum.
For our minutes from September, we will have to move that to our next meeting to be able to have a vote on those. Any old business? Having no old business, we'll move to new business. First on the agenda is a special exception application, SE 25-009 for Addison Wiley. Requesting a special exception to build a pond in an A2 zoning district with variances from the north and east property lines.
Okay, as you can see, on the screen too, and in your board packets, the property in question is at the southwest corner of US 24 and 600 East. Addison Wiley is asking to build a pond, and the pond for everybody at home or watching on the screen will be in this area right here. And the board packets do show, it's this area here, Dan, up in here. The board packets sort of do have some pond information, which was given a favorable recommendation from the Plan Commission on their October 2nd meeting, and then also on the Drainage Board prior to that on the 15th. The page that the board should have that's next to the topographic drawing over here, as you can see on there, this is the drawing that we received from Addison as far as where everything was going to go. Since US 24 is a limited access highway, we did not go to the center line, because where would the center line be? Would it be the center line out in the median, or the center line eastbound or westbound? We held the property line as the requested offset, which is supposed to be 105 feet. As you can see on there, they have approximately 50 feet to that north property line. So they'd be asking for a variance, along with the approval of a special exception for the pond itself of 55 feet. And then also on the east end, the same thing. As you can see, if you can sort of look at it on the topo or on the drawings that you have, but this is actually state highway that comes down and then cuts back in and is from this point on county highway. So this is all also right away, even though they do on the side roads allow driveways to be put off of it. We did the same thing here, which really wouldn't matter in this case either way, because going out to the center of the road from there would add about another 25 feet or so. So with the issue of asking for the variance off the north side, we just said, let's treat it the same way, since it's still also state highway. We don't come across this very often because it is limited access. So just to be safe, we've asked her to ask for a 10-foot offset or a 10-foot variance from the east property line, which said if you went out to the center line would probably be 130 to 135 feet roughly, given the offsets that we have. Also with this, when we looked at it, we also noticed, if you see on the screen, there's a note where the brief legal description is that there's 26.0 or 36.07 acres of forest land on the property itself, down in the description. So we pulled a copy of that survey from that, and it does look like on the survey that a portion of it does go into more or less it looks something like this. It's about 290 feet, I think, was the first line. It comes down just about to the driveway and then cuts around this way. This area, this area in here and all of this area, other than right around the house, and everybody should have a copy of that drawing in there, in a survey in there, is all the rest of the property is considered classified forest. So, we asked Addison Wiley to go, contact, Amanda Smith at the, Salamone Forest. She's our district forester, and there's a letter that she then wrote, to give to us, and we have attached it to the file, more or less saying that they're okay with this as long as she abides by certain aspects of their requirements for keeping it all natural and not, something other than that. So the section to the north and west that she's asking to have approved, then, would have to abide also by their rules if she wants to keep the pond where it's at. So I'd ask that if you want to approve this, please add the fact that she needs to abide by the rules for, the district forest also, or DNR. With that, contingent to it. I don't think any of the other paperwork that was there or anything. We did have an adjoiner to the west call, ask some questions. But actually their attorney did. I, more or less gave them an overview of everything that was here, and, they never called back with any, issues whatsoever. So we did not have anybody call, in opposition to this, or ask any other questions. That was the only one. They just didn't understand what the request was for. And they were out of town, so they didn't have the opportunity to come in and look through the paperwork, so.
Is maintaining this within the specs of the classified forest program, is that monitored by Amanda?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, because I think once a year, they have to come out and monitor pretty much all of them. I think they go around and check all that stuff, so,
Because I know on the tax end, that's a huge
it
deal.
is. And that's why
The tax savings for having classified
Right.
forest is extremely large.
and that's one of the reasons why when we saw that note, that we always check that and make sure, that there's no issues with it, so, when we did see that there was a portion of it that was gonna be in it, and it's about the northwest third or quarter, of the pond that's gonna be running through that area. So, as long as, she keeps it natural, like, she said, according to, Amanda, there shouldn't be an issue with it, so.
Okay.
Does natural mean you're not allowed to mow or anything, or what's that?
No,
Just said, don't bother the trees? Anybody?
yeah, she got pretty specific in her letter to us, about that.
No beach, no pier, no gazebos.
Exactly, no
Oh,
structures
okay.
allowed, yeah. And we've seen them before where obviously they allow driveways and trails and things like that. Sometimes fences and things like that, but not very often, depends on what they're used for. But for the most part, they want it to stay, as natural as it can. So I don't even think you're allowed to put, I don't even think you're allowed to put stone or anything in there, are you, in that side?
Yeah, we went over that with her and she gave us a list of animals that get their foot stuck in stone, which
Yeah.
I never knew about, so that was really great to learn, actually. But she also gave us a list of plants that we can plant on that side of the pond. That would be
Okay.
good, because right now nothing grows in that area. It's a pretty nasty looking field, so we would love to bring a little bit more life to it and then hopefully make it better for wildlife.
Brian, clear up for me, that blue line you showed us on the map, is that Blue Sky Highway?
No, that's US 24, that's the south right of way of new 24. Are you talking about across?
Or is that a property line I'm looking?
Yeah, that's the property line
Okay.
shown. And that's why we went to that line rather than going out to 24, because then you gotta figure. The center line, from the center line to the right of way is like 100 feet. It's a 200 foot wide. So no matter what, it just depends on where you would have asked for it from. So at this point, she's asking for, to be 50 feet off of there, so a 55-foot variance from that property line. And almost all those have fences along those sides. Now, they don't come down the county roads for the most part, but they do along 24 through there. I don't know where the fence stops along that area right there. I did not go check that. But I'm assuming it's probably somewhere around that little patch of woods in the northeast corner of the property.
I believe for the most part, it goes into the woods a little
It
bit.
does.
Cause then there's, I mean, with that patch of woods, it kind of drops off.
It drops way off. I turned the,
And then past the wood is kind of the privacy berm that tapers off closer to the house.
yeah, I turned the contours on. You can see that's a big hole right there.
Sit also.
It goes straight down into a hole right here. So you're looking at a 790 something down to there's 20 foot of fall from right here to right here. Just coming down that hill, so yeah.
What is the topography between the highway and where the pond will be? Is it pretty level or what's that?
It looks like for the most part on here, this is pretty level. When you don't see too many lines, that means it's pretty level. You know, there's a little bit of contour there, but not a whole lot. And it's definitely flat, it's really flat where the pond's gonna be in this area up here. There's
I would
hardly a contour
assume-
going through it at all.
The side ditch itself is kind of
Yeah.
extreme. I was thinking about keeping runaway cars and trucks out of the pond.
Yeah, it is a requirement that if you're within 105 feet of or 150 feet of the center of any roadway adjacent to a pond, that you berm it. You berm that edge to keep any vehicle traffic from getting into the pond.
And there is a berm that leads up to those woods, and then most of the top of the woods is on a berm before it tapers off into that downfall right by the highway.
It's pretty flat right across the middle part.
I was gonna say, this section is what I think he's concerned about.
Yeah,
Oh, on
yeah.
600,
well.
No, along
24 to where
24.
the pond's gonna begin, is that
This
The
is
open
that
spot.
accessible if a car was out of control? Could it get into the pond?
no,
coming through here and coming this way, this is actually the flattest part of the whole property is right in here. The pond is right down in here. Or, well, actually right through here, I think, right in this area, because it's about 55 feet right from this edge right here, from this corner.
And you said it's 200 feet anyway from the property line to the highway? So,
No, the width of the right of way. So just like this, if you went to the first lane, it's 117 feet. And to the center of the highway is 165 feet. So the whole width of the highway right of way is 375 feet. That's why we're like, where do we go? If we say that to the center of the road, do we split that in half and then go to that? Well, that more or less means she can build her pond right on the property line. And you want a little bit of buffer there, and that's why we said, look, why don't we make this from the property line, because this is limited access, you can't go into that anyways. So that's why we asked for the same setback from the property line rather than, which would be the same thing we would do if it was out in the middle of a cornfield and there was, or a field or something, and there was lines all around it, property lines around it, you'd have to be 105 feet from any of those lines. So we didn't consider this the center of the roadway stuff. With this one, we said, look, why don't we treat this like a property line and do the same thing we would on a property line rather than the center of the road, because you really don't have access to it anyways. So it's really not a front, more or less not a front setback, plus their house is off of 600 really, the address and driveway and everything's off of 600, so.
So. Given the requirements of the ordinance, is she, from what I'm reading, she's going to have to provide a barrier on both sides?
Yes, a deterrent barrier on somewhere in this area. That's the hard part, is where you put it. Could somebody, come off the roadway back here and get, drive into it? Because this is flat enough, but
Would probably be best to run it.
run it this way.
diagonal from that tree line to the next.
But then you're also talking about the area that's in the classified forest program too.
It's 150 foot from the roadway,
Yeah,
that's what the ordinance says, and it's 155 foot to the center of the eastbound traffic
yeah,
on
it's,
24, so it's right on the edge of the.
yeah. Depending on if you use the turn lane, you're looking at about 85 feet, so, yeah, she's asking for it to be 50 feet off. So 130 some feet, so it would still, according to our ordinance, require it, but. Again, where would it be okay to put it? Yeah, right down, right,
And I will say, we did talk with the people who we would hire to do the pond, and that was part of their plan. What they dig out for the pond would hopefully be used to extend the privacy berm right behind where that state fence is along 24. So that was already part of our plans.
to give you a buffer for view and stuff. Yeah, 'cause
Unless we're on the side of the highway where cars are going, away from the pond, so hopefully we wouldn't have the issue of them coming from that direction.
Cause really, right, that's about the corner of the pond roughly. It's something like this. It's rough. It's sort of it right there, just rough. Yeah, it would be less than the 150. I think, did we calculate 135? Is what we calculated when we were first looking at it, because you've got the 90 some, and then it's about another 35 feet to the center, so. It's gonna be close over here, but this would still probably require something, just a little bit of something in here. Past the trees or south of the trees for a deterrent.
If you do ever get a chance to drive by along 600, we did already add a privacy berm on that side of there's a white decorative fence, so we already have that barrier in place. And then depending on how much dirt we got, and if we were able to do the privacy berm along 24, any extra would add to the one on 600 to just increase that level of safety.
Been busy. You haven't owned it for about 3 weeks, haven't you?
Sounds to me like she's thought of everything, so. And I wouldn't be nearly as concerned about the 600 berm, because,
Cars coming off of 24 are gonna be going pretty slow.
yeah, and if you on 600 going the other way, you gotta get ready for a stop sign, so
Right,
they shouldn't be speeding too fast through there.
right.
The ones going 70 on 24, now they travel a ways before they stop.
Yeah.
Do you board members have any other questions? Anyone from the public have any questions or concerns? Okay. Do we have a motion for this request?
I move that we approve this request.
And you said we need to include following the requirements.
Following the requirements of the state's DNR for the district forester.
We have to say anything about the berms or anything?
We can make that a condition or restriction.
I think we should, with it being 24th.
So then, Deanne, officially amend your motion to
Okay.
include both those things.
Okay. I move that we approve the request with the berms added and also the classified forest restrictions added.
Second.
That's for the special.
Special exception forms.
Dan Dale,
Approved.
Patty Lingle,
Approved.
Amanda Lyon.
Approve.
This is for the variance from the north property line.
I have a motion for the north property line variance.
I make a motion to approve the
I'll second.
north.
Dan Dale,
Approved.
Patty Lingle,
Approved.
Amanda Lyon.
Approve.
And this is for the east.
You need another motion?
Mhm.
Okay, move we approve the east property line variance.
Second.
Dan Dale,
Approved.
Patty Lingle,
Approved.
Amanda Lyons.
Approve.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is special exception, application from Aaron and Lexus Fram. SE 25-010, requesting a special exception to build a pond in an A1 zoning district.
So, this property is, next door to, and this is parents of the owners, that are here, in their stead. We've talked to both parties, your daughter and son-in-law, right? And they live or working.
They're working on the West Coast. right
West
now.
Coast right now, so they could not make the meeting. The parents are here and the parents live next door. Granted, this property, as far as that goes with A1, that's allowed as long as it's a direct descendant. So they plan on building a home here, as you can see. They have not yet received full approvals from the Wabash County Drainage Board for this. They were asked to submit some additional information, which they have now done. But it will not be heard until the November 3rd meeting, so any approvals here need to be contingent on Drainage Board approval. They did receive a favorable recommendation from the Plan Commission, contingent on the Drainage Board approval, so it all hinges, their approvals on the Drainage Board approvals. This is just north and west of Urbana, 532 West 500 North. Long lane going back to the property back here. And more or less it's flat, it's very flat out here. I'll turn the 2-foot contours on again. As you can see, there's hardly a contour out here. The property's pretty flat. They wanted to build this up a little bit. To do so, they have asked to build a small pond so that they can take the dirt from the pond to build up the property where the house is gonna sit. And another reason for that is there is flood fringe here. So a mandate from me as the floodplain administrator is they have to be 2 foot above base flood elevation. So rather than hauling in separate truckloads, the request was to build a pond here to take the dirt directly, so they didn't have to haul it from another site to the property. As you can see in their drawings, that were sent from, the owners, the last two drawings here, sort of show on the side, you can sort of see a tile over here in red that's coming down. That's what we were sort of missing, was the outlet for the pond. This has been, given to the drainage board also. On the next page past that is an old drawing of, called number 4. It's labeled at the top, that shows a bunch of tiles. They're gonna hook into one of those tiles with their outlet so that they have an outlet for their pond. And that's what the drainage board was waiting on. That was delivered to them this past week or last week, I think. So they will be hearing it at their next meeting. We did talk to Sherry. She didn't think it was an issue. This is sort of what they were wanting to know, was that specific issue. Other than that, don't think there's much else that goes along with this from my standpoint. They've got their setback requirements from the property lines, so they don't need any variances, and there's no road close by. They don't have a berm, things like that from the last request. So turn this over to the board.
And I did talk to Sherry as well, when I saw it didn't have their approval, if there were concerns she had. And in the meantime, she had gotten those drawings. And she said she did not see anything. She had talked to the contractor, I believe, herself.
Scott.
And had gone over some things with him. Also referred him, I think, to NRCS about a couple questions she had, which may be a holdup with the shutdown. Because that's a federal office out there. But she didn't see any concerns, is what she shared with me, but she does want it to still go before the board to make sure that it gets their approval. And there's no concern with putting a pond in the flood.
Double checked on that, checked
Okay.
our ordinance, our floodplain ordinance says it's totally allowed. As a matter of fact, it's probably totally fine, when it comes to that. There isn't any issues. We do require, because they're building on slab, that they're gonna fill, on slab, that they do, it is required that they do some kind of landscape buffer or something over the top of the soil to keep any kind of erosion from undermining the foundation if it were to flood out there. From my understanding, have you seen it flood since
Never
you've been
got
out there?
that
Okay.
far. I've lived there for over 50.
Yeah, and I think I've heard from one other contractor that said, maybe when he was a little kid, it might have heard about something out there, but that was it. So, the ordinance would say as long as their finished floor is 2 foot above the base flood elevation for that area, which we've given them, there shouldn't be an issue. And it's only a little corner of the actual house. I think it's just in this, I think it's somewhere like this is where the house is gonna sit, just roughly. So it's only gonna be a little corner of it's going through that. They wanted to get as much of a buffer away from everything as they could, so they weren't right up against any of these property lines, right up against the sides of it. And then the pond is gonna be right above it, right in this area up here, which again is just portions of it that are probably gonna be within it. So even if it was totally within it, it would be totally approvable with with the floodplain ordinance, so we have no problem with that whatsoever.
Or we're just approving the pond, there's nothing to do with the house or
No.
anything like that. Setbacks are fine, so it's just whether,
Yep, and like I said, any motions need to also take into consideration, they need approval from
drainage
the
board.
drainage board.
Does the board have any other questions for them? Okay, does anyone else in attendance have questions on this project? Okay,
I'll make the motion to request, approve the special exception. Contingent upon the drainage board approval.
I'll second.
Dale,
Approved.
Patty Lingle,
Approve.
Amanda Lyon.
approve.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda, we have a variance 25-035 for Nathan and Kristen Mattern. Requesting a variance from the development standards to place a home addition closer to a side property line than permitted by the zoning ordinance.
Second here, I'm still shuffle a few papers around. Get through this. Okay, here's the properties. It might look familiar to the Board of Zoning Appeals. This request was brought in front of the Board of Zoning Appeals prior. This whole issue stemmed from the fact that I was out on some runs and saw the construction of the new garage area and got a hold of Mr. Mattern and sort of had to put a stop to it until we got some information from the board. He was building on a new addition onto the back of the house with a garage. And we asked the board to approve temporarily what he was doing so that he could get his heat and stuff in. This was last fall. In the meantime, he had a piece of property that was attached to this on the east side. There was two pieces. There was a long skinny piece that he'd purchased off the east end that if he would have left it, he would have had to request a variance from the east property line along with the north property line. In the meantime, he had to get all the paperwork done through the title companies, which was quite the chore. He was in contact with us about that. The north adjoiner, he did request or ask the adjoiner if he could purchase some additional ground off of him, so he didn't need the variance itself. Which he would have probably had to get a variance for anyways, because he just did the split on the piece beside it and added it to it. So it'd have been two splits in less than 20 acres within a 5-year period. So more than likely, he would have had to have been here in front of the board again, no matter what, to request a variance. It would have just been one way or the other. Mr. Hoover, who owns the farm around it, was reluctant to give him any more ground unless this issue could not be resolved within the context of this board. He said, if it doesn't, we'll revisit it. If I'm missing something, Nathan, is that sort of the conversations you had with him too?
Yes.
He didn't want to give away any more property than he had to. He was hoping that the board would grant this. He's all in favor of it. He didn't have any issues with it. The house is there. It's not getting any closer than the house, to the property line. It's extending the north line of the house easterly, and adding the new garage area to it. So it's actually not, making the setback any worse to the property line. It's just not within the 25-foot requirement for, the setback for a new structure attached to or extending a residential structure. So that's offset's supposed to be 25 feet. Right now it's maybe 16, 18 feet maybe. So in the paperwork, you can see what's been extended. And we're calling it roughly 16 feet on our end with the stuff that we've done. So we do show a little map in there. But everything else is good. They're just asking for the variance from the north property line. The structure itself, the board did give them approval to finish it the way it was, more or less stating that they didn't have an issue with it in the first place by allowing them to go ahead and finish it. But then they also needed it because they had to put their heating and cooling stuff within that. They had already taken it out and they needed some place to put it and have it covered. So we don't have an issue with it, the way it was done. Obviously, Mr. Matter knew he was supposed to come and get a permit for it, and he's still gonna have to, now with the board's approval, he'll still have to come back in and get a permit for it. We still don't have a permit for it, even though the structure's pretty much completed, so. And we did put the minutes from that meeting in here. Just so you'd have some background of what was there and what was discussed.
Any questions? Does anyone else in attendance have questions? I will say, I see the note in here about potentially making noted that no further unpermitted construction on the property. Just so that we're not in this position and neither are you, because I'm sure it hasn't been a fun process after the fact.
To say the least.
So anything over 100 square feet. Stop in before you start.
I didn't realize how uneducated I was on. I asked Edwin Miller, who's my contractor, ahead of time if I needed permits, and he said because I'm not doing bathrooms or bedrooms, I didn't need them. But I'm guessing we weren't on.
You don't need a septic permit.
I'm guessing we were on the same page talking about a permit.
Yeah.
I know better now.
We need a motion.
Yes.
I move we approve the variance for the property line setback from the north, yeah.
Second,
Do we need to put in there that permits have to be purchased?
Well, it'd be another violation on our end anyway, so I'm pretty sure he's.
Not gonna wanna go
No,
through it again.
probably not gonna do this for another year, no.
We don't need to put that in then.
I don't think we need to put it in as a restriction, I wouldn't say so, I mean, that's just. We'll discuss it when he comes in for his permit too, and we'll just go over everything and make sure it's understood what's needed, so.
Perfect.
Dan Dale,
Approved.
Patty Lingle,
approve.
Amanda Lyons.
Approved.
I thank you.
And whenever you get a chance to come in and get your permit, we'll get it taken care of, so.
Are you in tomorrow? I'll be in tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
Next on the agenda, we have a variance application, 25-036 for Dariana.
Dariana.
Okay, Bryant, requesting a variance from the development standards to place a residential structure in an A1 zoning district without receiving the points required.
Okay, yes, so. The reason for this came about, we were contacted by a contractor. Who. Said he was hired by, the petitioner to build a structure on the property. We then informed the, contractor that maybe the owner needed to give us a holler, and which she did. Not knowing, about the Ag 1 process in Wabash County. So we went through that information with her. We also did the Ag 1, factor point system, on the property, of which, she received 9 of the 15 required points, to, build a home without, requesting a variance to do so in an Ag 1 zone. Past that, there's information in here, about it. Obviously, the property, in question, if you read through some of the information that we gave the board, it's not really being farmed at this point in time. It's sort of it could be hay, I guess, if that's the case. I'm not sure that's what's happening. We've looked at everything that's here. We didn't see any other issues. There is a tile running across the north side of the property, which in my program here for Beacon, I don't have access to, but you have pictures of it. The board should have pictures of it. So no matter what, you could build even if requested within 75 feet of the center of that, no matter where it's at in the property or where the request was made. But like I said, since this was an Ag 1, and they didn't get the points, that's the reason for her being here. She was also not told this ahead of time by any of the real estate people that were selling the property, or that she was using to facilitate her purchase of the property. So she's sort of thrown back by this and what's happening as far as that goes. So we've tried to fill her in on everything we can, and so she's here tonight to request to go ahead and be able to build on the property in an Ag 1 zone without receiving the points required.
Is that also some type of drain running
It just,
through the
it
property?
looks
It
like,
appears to be a waterway of
it looks like a
some
low spot because it comes out into this field a little bit too here. You can sort of see it. So it definitely comes in. I can't tell. I'm wondering if it does sort of come up into here and come around.
It is a low spot, and there's a culvert going under the road right there,
Okay.
but it's not really a waterway or a ditch.
Or anything
No, it's
that's
nothing.
gonna have setbacks.
They farmed through it.
Okay.
When they used to farm that little patch, and it's not been farmed, I don't think, It wasn't farmed this year.
No, it's all grass there.
Yeah, well.
Well, this
your
picture's
part, but
three
then the
years
part
old.
Next to you, I think it's grown up into weeds this year. But yeah, the other part's being mowed by someone, I assume. The house behind, or do you know?
Actually, if you zoom out a little bit, there's the house on the corner there. That's, from what I've been told, that's one of the brothers, two brothers. The
Mhm.
house behind it is also, right now it's for sale, and like all these brothers owned it. So the brother over there has been mowing across that little hay field and mowing both properties since
Okay.
they're all family.
Would you use the same driveway that the house behind is using?
Yes.
Okay.
Is that a recorded easement? For that driveway?
For the driveway, I think it was, I think when we pulled the deed, I think we have it.
Just to make sure everybody's protected on what that looks like.
Subject to an easement of 25 foot, for ingress and egress off, pretty much off the entire west side, so there's a easement for ingress and egress through that property.
And you're building in far enough that we don't have any setback concerns.
We don't know, we haven't seen an actual
Okay.
site plan yet showing where that
Okay.
would be.
When I spoke with the builder, I gave him all of the setbacks, and he said it would definitely be met.
Okay.
Pretty much where his cursor is, a little bit. Right in that area. That's kind of what the, builder was saying.
What would happen if that's a wooded area right there beside too, right? That would surely isn't A1, is it? It
Yeah,
is,
it's
even
the
though
the whole property zoned A1
Because we
now.
can't spot.
Yeah, you can't spot zone that stuff into an A2 just because there's a patch of woods there. That's the whole point of. I guess that's one of the issues I would say we would have with Ag 1 is a parcel that's already here that was supposed to be a buildable parcel, but when you change it from just ag to Ag 1, now it's a non-buildable parcel if they don't get the points available, and they didn't, so we ran through that, didn't get it. Here we are, that's the whole point of this, and I see both sides of it, but, nobody called our office and said anything or asked or anything prior to it. None of the, real estate people, asked the questions, and I know, for a fact that one of them should know.
Okay,
That
I
was
was
a
gonna
part of it.
ask if we had had the opportunity to have
Their
a
office,
discussion.
sit down with the whole entire office and showed them the new ordinance and everything
Okay,
when it first came out, and so they were part of the sale, so. I was a little confused as to why they didn't, reach out to us and let us know that in the first place, but, it happens, things happen,
well, I think this is a prime candidate for this variance, since it is not taking land that is in ag production.
Right.
I would feel differently if it was actively in production.
And to me, looking at it, it would be tough. Somebody would have to figure out a way to get to it, and that would be a separate parcel. They got trees lining the driveway, and would it be worth anybody other than for a hayfield? And that would be an ag-related use, but
Right.
it's not very big for that even. It'd be what, an acre and a half of hay. So, and we could, but
Does the board have any other questions? No. Anyone else in attendance have
I do.
questions? Okay,
The fact that it's in front of another house is of no concern to you guys?
the In front of this house?
Yeah, because when I saw the real estate sign show up there, I thought they were selling that entire property. I didn't. I live just to the east.
Right here.
Yeah. So. I just think that this is nuts to put a house in front of another house, it's kind of ruining the value of the other property, but. That's basically my concern, but I do know there is a main ditch tile. That runs. If it doesn't go through that property, it's pretty close, so you do need to if you're gonna approve this, you need to definitely find out where that's at.
Yeah, and I think,
That would all come with the permit to build, correct? Because they would have to have drainage approval
they would, and
to get
there
a
is a tile,
build.
the tile actually comes right through here. It comes through the woods on an angle, comes
Right.
down through here in this dark spot right here, and comes across. And then cuts, you can sort of see it, it cuts right through here and then splits off and goes that way. That is actually a county regulated drain. They cannot build anywhere within 75 feet of the center of that tile, no matter where it's at. So they have to stay a minimum of 75 feet off of that. So when that does, if this would be approved and a permit were to be requested, the first place I would take it would be to the drainage board for their review and approval, because they would have to approve that. Well, every permit now has to be approved.
Yeah, and you are correct that,
This right here,
well, the other low spot, yeah.
this,
That is not draining very well currently. Up on the east side of that property, yeah,
right through
right
here,
there, yeah.
yeah. Yeah, you can see it on here, there's definitely a low water area right through there.
I just don't understand why they sold off a lot in front of another house. The same bizarre.
What's that?
It's been split out.
Yeah, I
It's
think
separate
this,
parcel for years.
I think this has been, I think they did this a long time ago. Cause this was Beverly and David Emmerich's. With no date on it.
It should give dates, if you go into the property record card, it should give the dates of the splits.
Let's check it, see.
It's been quite a while ago.
So I mean, it's been two separate parcels for so long, it's not even showing up as a date on our stuff.
No, yeah.
Been like that forever. I mean, this is one of the things, the issues that we sort of have with the Ag One, and we've been looking at it in our office, was that situations just like this, they've already had a parcel of property. It's been like this for years, and it was the whole sole purpose of it when it was done, even if it was 50 years ago or 25 years ago. But now it's Ag One, and it changes everything. Even though it might not be farmed or might not be, ag producing, it's, we still have the ordinance that we have to go by, and that's why we're here.
So as far as
Absolutely.
his concerns on doing something in front of someone else's house, we didn't hear anything from the owner of that back property.
That house is currently on foreclosure, and my parents actually put a bid on it and it was accepted.
Okay,
the process of buying it, I'm her mother.
okay.
But it's a HUD house, so we're going through the process of purchasing it. The offer's been accepted, we're going through everything now.
You don't have a problem with her building a house in front of your house?
Now, that's the reason why we bought it, because she had bought that property first.
And
I'm
have
sure
this-
that's why they had the easement put there, is because they were planning on.
Probably,
the building
and-
lot being-
And believe it or not, flag lots like this are pretty, they're pretty common for stuff like that, and they sell off lots. The issue that we have internally with our office is addressing those, because they all have to be the same address, but with lot numbers if you're using the same driveway. So now the addresses are gonna have to change on the property, so if that's the case of wanting to build back there or get approved to, so.
No, I didn't know that was already separated off.
Yeah. Yeah, we couldn't actually find a date for it because it's probably been so old. Like I said, the property report card says it's been split like that since
Nineteen
1900.
Last month, so.
Yeah,
Look in the. Look in that one,
in here,
yeah,
you want the property report
Yeah.
card? This card,
yep,
see, it says here 1/1 of 1900,
yeah, that's just a placeholder.
right? So whenever we started doing the GIS more or less is when it had to happen before that.
I wanna say that those records go back to like the early nineties. That's what's been put in. But I'm not 100% on that.
I think these property record cards are up to about early 2000s. Because it had to do with some software compatibility and what transferred and what is,
Probably at least been split for 20 years.
I would guess.
I would guess Emmerichs have owned that as long as you remember, haven't they, Chris?
What's that?
Emmerichs have owned that whole corner
Yes.
there as long as.
Yeah,
you
that's
could-
why I thought it was all one.
One part, yeah.
Well, and they don't.
So when I saw the real estate sign, I thought they were selling the house and the
Yeah,
property.
it was
Sorry,
transferred to HUD in July.
Okay,
So that's where she was talking about foreclosure.
Yeah.
They probably did a deed in lieu because I don't find a foreclosure case.
Did you have any other questions, Chris?
No. You're taking the wind out of my sails.
Okay, if the board has no other questions, do we have a motion for this variance request?
I'll make a motion to approve it.
I'll second.
Dan Dale,
Approve.
Patty Lingle,
Approved.
Amanda Lime.
Approved.
Have Jason call. Yes, yes, and I can, yes. Okay. Thank you.
Do you have a complaints update for us this evening?
Yeah, so, active, open active complaints 34, 12 with legal. 2 still unsafe, so, all total 48 there. We're monitoring about 19 of them. And I always like to just, we've had others where we've finished, and not quite closed it because we want to monitor it for a month or two before we close it. So we did close a couple today after from that list, that I'd gone back and double checked on and made sure everything was good. So, that list seems like it's long, but, it could drop in half by the next time we're here. Others are some that we've gotten requests for complaints on that we never, I don't think it's really a full-on complaint, so we just sort of are monitoring to make sure if it does get worse, then we will, do something, to check into it. If not, we're just gonna keep monitoring it and, after 6 months or so, if it's still nothing changed and it's okay, then we'll probably end up taking it off the list too. So we had 59, rolled over. From last year, new in 2025, 41, and we have a total closed, out of that list of 33. So we still have quite a few, ongoing. And then our reassessments are still there too. Total rolled over from 2024 because, we got a lot of those late in the year in 2024. We had 23 roll over to this year. Total received so far this year was 47. So from the 23 that were rolled over from 24, we only have 2 of those that we have, not, closed out, as far as that goes. And some of those we're looking at, some issues with those. 2025, open, we had, 16 of them out of the 47. So we've closed 31 of those, which is pretty good. So all total, we only have 18 of those, left. And some of those have just been in the last couple of months or so. So by the time we got letters out, we normally send 2 letters if we don't hear from them. And we're in that second round now, I think, or getting ready to send that second round out. So not doing too bad on those, and people have been pretty cooperative, so, for the most part, we're pretty sure people are gonna end up, handling those or coming in and taking care of them, so. That's all I have for, the complaints. And then Dan, we did talk about that property on 15, so it looks like they've at least done 1 mow, and hopefully, as long as it doesn't need to begin till spring, we'll monitor it. It did sell in the tax sale.
Oh, it did sell?
It did sell, and for decent money. So somebody is probably planning on doing something with that, property.
Which
So,
one is it?
Rafer, State Road 15.
Row of houses just before you get to 800 South.
Okay.
So there's the big dairy.
Yeah.
Off of 800. It's just west of it and just up the road a little ways. As you can see from the picture from the property report card, that's pretty much what it looked like when I met the guy there to start mowing. It hadn't changed much. And this was a 3-year-old picture probably. So, that did get mowed. We did turn in we did pay our contractor for that. And we also did place a lien on the property after the fact to get reimbursed for that, so. we
How much
did-
did it sell for?
I'm not sure.
You said good money.
I remember calling and asking if it did. I know it could cause some issues with something down the line. I think it was $200 or something like that, $250, because it took them quite some time to do that. So we're like, hey, worst case, we're out, the county's out $250 for mowing it if they don't end up being able to pay for it or if that's the only lien that gets put on at the same time, or in the meantime, I'm pretty sure they're probably gonna end up paying that lien off if they want the house, so. Yeah,
You won't get paid out of the purchase price though?
we,
Maybe over and above that or?
well, and see, I don't know how that normally works, Mark, do you know?
We could make a claim for those proceeds. Typically. Anything that's left over gets split between potential property owners. Which he's passed, right? So it'd have to be his heirs claiming it. And if nobody claims it, I wanna say after 3 years, the county gets the money.
They won't claim it,
No.
they've already told us they
Yeah,
won't
the
claim it.
2 siblings is what the
Yeah.
heirs, and they're neither one interested in it.
I mean, they don't have to do anything, it's free money for them, but I
Yeah.
might become a long lost son if I have to be.
Yeah, yeah.
But now we're on record with
No,
that.
it's-
Because our ordinance is only for a platted area.
There's a process they would have to go through.
Right.
And if we were interested in trying to
residential
get
zone.
these up, I'd have to relook at the statute,
But the
because it has an
ordinance
order of
reads that
who's
we
entitled to proceeds.
The violation if it's in a platted
Yeah.
area.
Right, or residential zoned area, right?
All I'm finding is platted.
Well, everything is platted somehow, but is it platted as a subdivision or is it just platted as a lot? We were told by this
Looking at
board,
Chapter 22, it reads platted, so if it's not platted. Can we do that?
In this part of that conversation.
What does platted mean?
yeah,
And that it would be defined, not asking.
well, like I said, I think when we brought this to the board on several occasions before for other properties, and they only said, only if it's a residential zoned area. Will they allow this to be done? It has to be zoned residential. And that was where we were going with that, was residential, and this is zoned, that whole triangle out there is all zoned residential.
That's probably something we need to look at.
Yeah.
And we can look back through the statute just to see if there's something else that would bring it into play.
Okay. Cause that makes a big difference in how many properties in the county that we're potentially looking at being in violation.
Yeah,
Cause I wondered about that when you started talking about taking mowing bids. There aren't very many
yeah, some of the smaller
that would be
towns, you
platted,
know,
yeah,
but they're zoned R1 or residential zone, so,
right, and they should be handled by the towns. Like LaGrow,
oh, yeah,
would
those, we
handle
don't, we
their
wouldn't do
own-
that in this, yeah,
Right.
we wouldn't do that in LaGrow,
Right.
Rowan, or LaFountain.
right,
Only in, you know, Serbia, you know, yeah, Ridge
Right.
Valley.
that
zones,
probably need that into the list to be
yeah,
checked
residential,
out.
yeah,
Platted and or residential.
Yeah, because right now the definition in the book for plat is a drawing, map, or graphic representation or chart that shows the division of land, layout for subdivision or replat of such attractive land and is intended to be filed for recording.
which is pretty much any new survey that comes along.
And platted area, any platted lot or group of lots as displayed and recorded in the plat books records maintained by Wabash County Recorder's Office.
And that's where, when we've come to the boards before for an explanation as to why we couldn't do it in the county. They said only if it's in a residential zone district will they allow it to be done, so. This was a few and far between, there are little patches. Northfield, just west of Northfield on 200. There's that stretch of houses there, that's actually zoned, all zoned residential through there.
And it's platted Sharp Creek Estate.
Yeah, and that is platted subdivision, that's why you asked about that.
West has some too.
Yeah, so there are little patches of those, here and there, but, this is one of the few that's actually the whole, that's a pretty big area of just residential zone area.
Do we have any other business?
Nope, that's all I have.
Do we have,
Did we approve the meeting calendar for next year? Did I miss that?
Plan commission did that, right?
Oh,
Right before the BZA meetings, it's on the agenda.
But we have to approve it, I thought plan commission did that at their meeting.
They
Does
approved their
BZA?
meetings.
I'm gonna move to deny all those.
All the vacate, all the holidays,
I'll move to approve the BZA calendar.
okay,
That's what we have to do.
sorry.
Well,
It is true.
I'll second.
Patty,
Approved.
Dan,
Approved.
and Amanda.
approved.
Okay, thank you, everybody.
you got rid of all those.
We need a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.